Hey everyone, welcome to another comic review. If you are not over 18, I'm going to ask you to click off this video. You don't want to know what I've seen. Today we're reviewing The Pro, another comic sent in by Eddie. Thank you, Eddie. And as you can see by the cover, it's quite a scandalous comic. And to be clear, this is a more parody version of a classic superhero comic, the idea of an unlikely hero suddenly becoming a hero. But in this case, the person who becomes a hero is a prostitute. And not a good person at all. The reason why she becomes a hero is just because, like, these aliens who are picking heroes on Earth make a bet whether or not you can make, like, the scum of the Earth into an actual hero, whether or not everyone can actually be a hero. She curses, she smokes, she blows away the competition. She's the most unlikely person on Earth to get superpowers. She's the Pro. You'll be happy to know that this comic is actually pretty well liked by some people you may know in the comic industry, such as Mark Waid or Gail Simone, both leaving very positive reviews on the back of this comic. The Pro is laughing with me, not at me. Well, okay, it's doing both, but it's still great. Mark Waid. This is the comic that Garth, Amanda, and Jimmy will be apologizing for in heaven minutes before being sent directly to hell. But hey, if their eternal damnation is the only downside, then I demand a sequel. Gail Simone. Amanda Connor is hot. Joe Casey. Joe Casey is a dead man. So obviously, this is a mature comic for 18 plus. There's some nudity in there, so I won't be able to show you many, if any, pages, but don't worry, I'll be as descriptive as possible. This is also a comic from Image. So this comic introduces our main character. What is her name? Okay, she doesn't have a name. That's okay. So we start off the story with her doing her thing, and instead of the guy paying her, he pulls out a gun and starts shooting at her. So she's out of money, and we realize that she has a kid whom doesn't look like the kid's being treated quite properly, of course. I really don't know what exactly the purpose of her having a baby is in this comic, other than to make you feel a little bit more sympathetic for her, because she's obviously has a shitty life, and that's the whole purpose of the intro in general. And of course, a lot of the comic takes a couple of jabs at, like, the classic superhero tropes and the idea of these classic heroes, how they're scantily dressed, and how they're, like, very goodwill type people, and how that clashes with her personality per se, as she is you see, she's a pessimist, but I think she's like a good example of a really stupid pessimist. See, most of the story, she like clashes with them and how they do their superhero business, and she's basically like, you guys are idiots. You try so hard to be goody two-shoes that you never get the job done right. Her whole thing is basically that she brutally murders the people that she fights against. And of course, they're not really okay with her brutally murdering people. She actually has this moment where she's like lecturing them, and she's trying to tell them, like, stop being, like, hopeful, giving people hope, you're all a bunch of idiots, you know, this world is dark. Like a little edgy teenager moment here. And she basically suggests that they start dropping bombs on schools and hospitals, because that's where the assholes like to hide, which is obviously, like, a terrible suggestion. That's such a good example of, like, pessimism that's so extreme that it's just hilariously stupid. It's like, yeah, go drop bombs on fucking children and sick people. That'll get the terrorists. But you know, the idea, at least I think the idea is, that she's a pessimist, she doesn't believe in hope, she doesn't believe in trying to save people, she only believes in beating up the bad guys. She only believes in hurting those who have done wrong. The weird thing is, like, literally, flip the page, like 2 pages over, she tries to be the voice of reason after suggesting dropping bombs on hospitals and schools. They're responding to a terrorist attack, and she goes, listen, I think we should leave this one to the cops. If we charge it now, we could fuck up whatever they were planning to do, not to mention getting everyone in there killed. I thought you didn't care. Sorry, let me just flip back to this page. What we need are guys with the balls to drop bombs on schools and hospitals. That was quite a character change in one flip. That was quite a change of heart there. All of a sudden, she cares about people getting hurt. But don't worry, that doesn't last too long because of course she goes in there and kills all the terrorists by ripping their limbs off, among other things. So anyway, this leads to one of the terrorists having a nuke for some reason. I don't know where he got the nuke from. I guess that shit's just lying around. So yeah, he has a nuke and she gets it from him and it's going to explode in how many ever seconds. And the bomb squad is basically like, oh. So this is the moment where she decides to give her own life, you know, classic. I'll fly the bomb into space and then explode with it. You take care of my kid while I'm busy dying. So the alien who gave her the powers wins his bet, but it's implied that he also dies in the process because she went into space when the bomb exploded and also exploded the aliens who gave them the powers to begin with. I don't really know what happened with her kid. It just says her kid grew up. Cool. And then they have the side story at the end, which is kind of funny. It's supposed to take place, I guess, during her being alive time when she was giving her customers super hand jobs, had super speeds, and the idea is she steps in on this other girl's turf who has like multiple hands, giving multiple hand jobs. She does orgies, right? And you know, she's called the pro and she's called the hoe. It's kind of goofy, I get it. Although granted, it has probably one of the weirdest what the fuck endings. It's like they fight, obviously she loses, but she's like, man, I want to turn my life around. And the way she turns her life around is bestiality. She starts giving hand jobs to animals instead. No, that's how it ends. I guess it's for science. Anyway, so that's basically the pro. I mean, there's not really much to the story. There's definitely a lot of goofy moments, decent jokes, you know, obviously not very highbrow jokes, but it could get a chuckle out of you. Although the pessimism of the comic does turn me off. I really don't like that mindset of, oh, the world's a terrible, disgusting place. And she's basically an embodiment of that mindset. So it's kind of a bummer. But even more so, you guys know that I'm also queasy, which is why I don't read too much horror. And there's a little bit of queasy moments in here that make me go ew. The premise itself kind of reminds me of Stan Lee's Stripperella, but of course Stripperella was like significantly more tame than this, I would say. Even Orgasm Girl is more tame than this, really. Which, by the way, is available for digital download on burningstarcomics.net. And I think a year ago I reviewed Uncouth Sleuth, which was also more tame than this. This is definitely one of those comics that, like, doesn't pull any punches. Literally, she punches a guy's jaw off. It'll appeal to some, but not to all. So sorry to say, not my cup of tea, but you might enjoy it. If you want to check out the pro, I'll leave a link in the description. When I first looked at the cover of this comic, I thought her whole thing was gonna be that she defeats super villains by getting them off or something. I did know someone who was writing a comic similar to that, and of course I wrote a comic that's basically that premise. But no, she just kills people. What a waste of a prostitute, am I right? Anyway, if you've read the pro, please let me know what you think of it personally down in the comments below. That's where words go. If you did enjoy my video, be sure to like it so that I know that you liked it. As usual, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!
Program restart.